I listed them on Craigslist for $200. And immediately someone bought them. Or like someone's like, hey, I'm coming to buy them. And then I call my dad. I'm like, hey, like I forgot what. I was like, hey, these people are coming to buy the couches. And he's like, what? Like, yeah. Like mom told me to list these couches or whatever. And then he's like, for how much? I'm like, $200. And he's like, Roman, are you dumb?
Because,
well, I mean, you're going to have to cut it anyway, so it's fine.
Well, I don't cut it.
Well, but this time you will.
What's the point of cutting 10 seconds?
Because then you get into the habit, you get more used to Premiere Pro, you learn how transitions work, and it'd be fun. We started the recording, Mark.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 18, Risk It for the Biscuit podcast. This is an episode that we have all been waiting for. All four of us. Roman, you probably don't know this, but I have been mentioning the introduction of the co-host since like episode 8.
Wait, when was episode 8?
I mean, like 2 months ago.
Did I even know that I was going to be the co-host 2 months ago?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I kept Roman was very dedicated to school because he's a scholar, and so due to that, he just has continued to stab me in the back for the past 2.5 months. But it's all good. We are here, and we are all past that now. And so I just wanted to open this up, and basically, I mean, obviously I know you a little bit, but I think for our large fan base here,
it's growing 67%
yes,
month over month.
67%. If you just want to, we're going to talk about obviously the the Risk It for the Biscuit podcast, what all that means and what that is, and whatever. But for the beginning, if you just want to introduce yourself a little bit,
okay.
Who are you, Roman? And what are some things that interest you in general in this life? So the floor is yours, pal.
So, I guess I'll start with my name.
All right, hey, that's good.
My name is Roman.
Woo.
Some people know me as Mark's brother. Actually, quite a few people know me as Mark's brother. But I do have a name, and it's Roman.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, a little bit about me. Student still at Kennesaw State University.
Okay. Even though you graduated.
And
we posted it all over social media, so we're lying to everyone we know. That's great.
That's really I walked for my graduation, but I still have 2 classes in the summer. Software engineering student. I've been a software engineer intern for coming up on 12 months.
Wow. That's powerful.
I'm supposed to be converted to full-time any day now. Company I work for is called Tricentis.
You just want to put that out there, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
okay. All right.
Just
making sure.
Rep the name.
Okay. All right.
Gonna get stock options, Mark. This
okay.
is a deal, If anyone's interested in... I forgot what we do. I just blanked completely on what we do. I forgot the word. It's like corporations.
Wow.
Enterprise. If you're interested in enterprise software test management or test automation, don't reach out to me because I'm not a salesperson. I couldn't sell you anything, but just try Tricentis. Great company. But yeah, pretty much I'm just like a software engineer. In my free time, I program or scroll Twitter. I also like to ski. I was skiing last weekend in Colorado for a couple days.
Skiing in May.
Yeah, there's still some snow out there.
You're the first person I've heard of that, doing that in history.
Yeah, I skied at A Basin for one day, and then Breckenridge. Breckenridge sucked. I felt like I got robbed. So much money. I mean, yeah, so much money, and they closed 2 hours early because of thunderstorms, which was not great.
That's exciting.
So yeah, software engineer, skiing, programming, read a little bit.
Yeah,
occasionally.
That's an understatement there, pal.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, honestly, I don't read that much these days. I listen to audiobooks, I guess, sometimes, but mostly I just read before I go to sleep.
I need to get back on the audiobooks. I was listening to them last year, I think, or 2 years ago. but I just got kind of lazy with it.
Yeah. I said that I listen to audiobooks. I have 20 Audible credits. I think you get like 4 a month, so I haven't bought an audiobook in like probably a couple months. I mean, it's just boring. Like I like listening to podcasts more because when they read an audiobook, it's like monotone, or at least for the most part. There's been like one audiobook that wasn't like that. Most of them is just like monotone, and they're just reading the book, right? So it's like for some reason I can't focus on that. So like I'm driving and I'm listening to the audiobook, but I'm just not like I'm just thinking of something else as opposed to like podcasts. I'll just listen and listen. Like I'll just focus on the podcast. Yeah, and I guess my other hobby is just following the Ukraine war.
That's.
Deep state map, live UA map.
Hey, they're making progress, pal.
Yeah, and then I consume endless amounts of content on the Ukraine war.
Well, that's good. And why do you do that, Roman? I don't think you mentioned why you do that. Is it because you're from Ukraine by chance?
I am from Ukraine.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Same as you, pal. Same parents.
I was waiting for you to say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Ukraine." That's what I was.
Yeah, I'm from Ukraine. I think you can see that. There's a right there.
Top ring box. Loma lost yesterday.
No way.
Lost to Haney. Yeah.
Oh my god! I saw the press conference where he got pushed, and I was. Why is he calling me?
I don't know. If you want to text him, say your phone, because mine's obviously camera, but we'll tell him we'll figure it out. Anyway, technical difficulties here, or not technical difficulties, but we have a little bit of an interruption. But it's okay. We'll keep going. This is good. First episode.
Yeah, you'll get to cut this out, Mark. You'll get to really learn how Premiere Pro works.
No, I'm not cutting anything out. We're going right through this.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, consume endless content on the Ukraine war. Yesterday, I was watching a documentary on the Donetsk airport from 2014. Insane. Dad apologized.
That's good. That's what he should do.
So
it's disrespectful to what he just did, but it's okay. We'll forgive him.
Yeah, and it's mostly like Ukrainian content. I'm not watching some kid from the Midwest who has only traveled to Cancun. Tell me about the Ukraine war. I'll just listen to someone from Ukraine.
Who's this kid from the Midwest?
Just kind of like a stereotype, but like David Sachs. I don't know if you know David Sachs.
I don't know who that is.
I used to listen to the All In podcast every week, and then they just started talking about he just kept bringing up the Ukraine war, and he's like this conservative guy, and he's just like, it just got so annoying listening to him. Don Bass, Crimea.
I'm excited for the podcast because we're gonna get to talk about this topic, which I think especially, I have a perspective as well, being Ukrainian, but I'm not consuming as much content about it as you. So I think you're going to be able to, let some people know. I also listen to podcasts. The only podcast I listen to is PBD, but he brings on people who are, most of the people he brings on are pretty against the war, but, they have that perspective. And so I think, of course, you can prove everybody wrong as always. So I think that's good. That's real exciting. But yeah, so it's good to know you a little bit more, because I definitely didn't know any of that. But that's going to be good. This is the Risk It for the Biscuit podcast. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions about that. And basically, I guess just your general thoughts on taking risks in life. What does that mean to you? Since that is kind of the basis for this whole show. We want to, of course, this is just the first episode, so it's kind of clunky or whatever. But as we move forward, potentially even having like guests and talking to them about risks and stuff. But I think it's important to kind of know, what does risk mean for you? Just your general thoughts, I guess. What would you say?
I think taking risks is really important. I'm generally, just by like my temperament, I'm more of a risk-averse person in some ways. In other ways, I'm not very risk-averse. But I think it's very important, and at least for me, I have to like consciously, because if I don't consciously like say like, hey, I'm going to take a risk, I just ended up not. And I'm very easy for me to just
not take
just complacency. Just
that's actually weird. I'm kind of the same way. Although we do have risk in our blood,
Yeah.
and some things I would say, I mean, we've joked about this like our whole lives growing up. We're like degens, in some areas. Yeah, absolutely. But
like for example, for me, like throwing away $1,000 in stock options, and that's not even a risk. That's like an afterthought. I'll just
2020.
Oh, 2020. Oh God, yeah. 2020. I don't even want to get into how much money I lost in 2020.
That's good.
But for me, that's not even a risk. That's not even a question.
All right.
It's like where, who? What ticker? What are we buying? We still buying puts or calls or what? We're not buying stock because stock is for old men.
Right.
We're buying puts or calls.
Yeah, we want that 67% return.
Yeah, no, I think that my biggest one was an NVIDIA. I bought an NVIDIA call, and I made like 800% return on that.
Oh.
I was down on my luck because I'm a gambler, right? Like, beginner gambler. I was down from funded my account with like $3,000. I was down to like $300 or $400. So it's a pretty big loss, and then I bought those NVIDIA calls, and I believe I made all my money back, where I was at like 2,800 or something. Like it was good.
Dang.
But sometimes like if I want to start a new project or even doing this podcast, I kept putting it off, not just because of school, but also because I was just like,
because you hate me, yeah.
Well, not because I hate you. I'm just like, I don't know, So sometimes if it's financial risk,
that's not a risk.
It's not a risk. In some ways.
Because it's an opportunity.
No, I don't even know. I don't even have any move. I don't care. I don't care.
With the podcast too, for me, I think the name is fitting, like Risk It for the Biscuit, because this is a risk. And I was also putting it off for the longest time. And honestly, my plan was, I wanted to do it in the beginning of the year. I don't think I started till about like February, or maybe one of the last weeks in January.
Yeah.
But it was a risk. Same thing. I kind of kept putting it off, and then I just kind of did it. And I haven't been promoting it or anything, just because it's whatever. But when I went to buy this mic, because you gave me your word that you were gonna hop on, and you didn't, which is fine, no problem. But actually, this is the reason why I'm using it now, because it's the better microphone.
It's the better. They're the same microphone.
I know, but this one's brand new. I have the box. I bought that one on eBay. But anyway, when I went to buy the microphone, the kid asked me. He was like, what are you doing, if you don't mind? Like, why are you getting this mic? And I was like, well, me and my brother are trying to do a podcast, blah blah. He's like, oh dang, I've had friends that try to do that, and it didn't work out for them. And I was like, oh yeah, because your friends are losers. No, I'm just kidding. I did not say that. But I was like, I'd rather say like, oh well, than what if, type of thing. So especially like when it comes to this, like, I think just sticking through, and I have a number in my head of how much, episodes or whatever I'm willing to, if you want to be professional, put on Do Not Disturb, that'd be great. But, I have a number. Obviously, I'm not going to do 500 episodes with 4 subscribers.
Episode 500. Nobody's lost.
Yeah, so obviously, but I do have
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right, just mess up the whole, I'm just kidding. But, I do have that number, in my mind.
Like if we reach this amount of viewers, then we'll continue, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, but I'm not even concerned with that.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned with the effort. So like the amount what we're gonna do. I think it's gonna be like around 100. So that's 2 years. I think if in a year, if we can't figure it out, then we just can't figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, at least the bigger risk here, like at least in my head, it's not about like actually doing the podcast. It's like always like, oh, like what are other people going to think? Like that kind of like, I guess
matters.
No, I know, but it's a different type of risk, right? It's not like the risk with this podcast is not financial risk. It's like a public, I don't know what you would call it. Like
you could get fired. Yeah.
Don't care.
I guess that's not a risk either. See, that's
what's the risk? I go enlist in the Ukrainian armed forces, and then It's fine with me. I don't care.
I guess. Just don't tell mom about that. But
yeah, like, okay, you know, I have to quit my software engineering job. Like, all right.
No, that's interesting. How like, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask too about like risk tolerance. So I guess like in different areas, the tolerance is different.
Yeah. Well, because I'm like more introverted and stuff, right? So like for me, I know speaking on stage, you know, for Pastor Mark here, it's no problem.
Oh my goodness.
For youth Pastor Mark.
All right.
For me, it's harder. You know, I've had to do like some public speaking. It's always been incredibly difficult for me, but I guess the more I do it, the more comfortable I feel. Like I had a big, at the end of the summer portion of my internship last summer, we had a big presentation with like, it's like 50 or 60 people. And there was like a bunch of like, you know, there's like the chief technology officer and like a whole bunch of important people. And there's a room of like 30 people like in person. And then there's some like on Zoom. And I blacked out during that. Like I had like a whole script. I memorized the script and then I stand up. I don't remember anything. Everyone claps and I'm like, oh, you know, like that's done.
I think you're better at it than you give yourself credit. I really do. Like I think if you were just to do it, like do it more, you'd be completely fine.
That's why I think doing this podcast would be good. Because at least I can. You know.
So there is some positives to it. All right. So I'm not just forcing him to do this, so the world knows.
Well, he has a gun under the table.
Yeah. Don't mind that. But I'm also not getting anything in my headphones, just so we know. I have to buy new headphones, but it's okay. No worries.
Oh, let me check it. Say something.
Hello. No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. We're golden. We are golden. So yeah, man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
About risk in different areas. Let's see if there's anything else. I guess. Well, have you taken any risks, and how have they panned out for you? Other than your, you know, lucrative stock option trading. Do you have a course on that, by the way?
Well, I mean,
follow him on Twitter for his plays.
Okay, this is kind of like a bit of a throwback, but it must have been I was 16 or 17. I mean, I had no money at that time, and me and Thomas.
And now you have just bags.
Yeah. Well, like I literally like it was like I couldn't
I got you.
get a credit card. I couldn't do anything. I had like.
Yeah. If you have credit
back
cards,
when I was delivering.
If you have credit cards, you have unlimited money.
Yeah, or like you feel like you do. But I heard about this thing called drop shipping.
Ooh.
And
you're sounding more like an internet guru the more you speak. Are you Ty Lopez?
It's real life. This is real life. This is what happened. So I heard about drop shipping. Me and Thomas.
Yeah.
Longtime fake business partner.
Yeah.
We do a lot of fake business together. So we, because I watched a lot of YouTube and stuff in high school, and I found this guy, Hayden Bowles. He's still a YouTuber. I don't know if he does dropshipping anymore, but he still posts some content. And he had a course. It was $1,000. And I showed it to our dad. And he was like, if you think this is going to, like, you know, teach you something, like, then I'll buy it. So
dang. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It was like...
Jeez.
Yeah, so he bought that course, and I'm like, that's it, you know? I'm ready to go. And, I don't know, I probably tried drop shipping, like, for a straight year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, like, I would make, like, $100, you know, delivering sushi or whatever, like, the Chinese food stuff we were doing.
Great times.
And I would like launch a new product. I would try to drop ship this. I would try to drop ship this. And we had some success, like limited success. Me and Thomas, we had one store that, you know, probably over its lifetime it did like $50,000 or $60,000 in revenue. But it was never profitable. It's very stressful. I remember it was extremely stressful because, like, you know, people are messaging me like, hey, where's my stuff? And you're like, hey, so it's it's in transit. It's been in transit for like 20 days. I'm sorry. Like, I just felt so terrible. It's a terrible. I mean, eventually I found suppliers that were in the United States. They would do like 4 to 7 day shipping. So it wasn't like the 21 to 30 day e-packet shipping or whatever. So it was a little bit better. But overall, like, eventually it fizzled out. I think I'm still banned on Facebook ads because I have unpaid invoices and like thousands of dollars. But I remember after I stopped drop shipping, Like it was like it was a real risk. Like I poured every dollar I had for like a year and a half. Okay. After that, it was actually New Year's. Remember that New Year's when we went to Kansas City?
Yeah.
What year was that?
Probably
2019 or 2020?
I think
No, it was 2018
going in 9. Well, no, I graduated. Yeah, it was 18 going into 19. I graduated.
18 and 19, we were in Kansas City. I did my little New Year's resolution thing, and I'm like, yeah, this is just not going. Like, I don't know what to do. After that, I kind of there's this other website called Upwork where you can freelance things, and I'm like, you know what? I spent a lot of money on Facebook ads. Like it wasn't like all my own money. It was like, products sell, like yada yada.
Yeah.
But I spent, in the tens of thousands of dollars running Facebook ads, so I had some experience. So I became a Facebook ads marketing freelancer, and I had a couple clients, and I actually did turn that into like a semi. I was still in school. I was still like in high school. I was dual enrolling at college, but I was like between classes and stuff. I had a couple clients, one doing like Google ads, one doing Facebook ads, and like a third one where I built their whole site for them. Like it was like a whole.
Did that work out? Did that work out?
I mean, I made a couple $1,000s while I was, in college, but then I kind of found other things to do. But that was kind of like a moment where I took a risk, like starting something new and like trying to actually build something, and it didn't work out. But I found that I developed some sort of skill and was able to actually, get.
That's interesting. So like the risk, like taking the risk, even though it didn't pan out in the direction, but like you still learned something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, a lot of times you think a risk is negative, but I guess there is positive to it, even if it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, up only.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Now
So you'd recommend people to take risk?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what life you're trying to live.
Interesting. I did not know all that you just told me, and we lived under the same roof. But, that's good.
I have a story about another risk.
Okay.
That you definitely know about that you clowned me about at the time. Well, it wasn't a risk. It's just a stupid story. But
do you want to tell it or no?
Yeah, I think it's funny.
All right. Well.
I think I was like 16. It was when we lived in the house with like land and stuff.
Okay.
So I kind of misunderstood what my mom told me. Remember we had those couches downstairs?
Oh my goodness.
So I remember it was at a time where I would like list stuff on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Oh, no, I don't think Facebook Marketplace was around. But list stuff on Craigslist and like sell because I was like, get money.
Businessman.
And my mom, at some point, she said, hey, like we should sell those couches. I interpreted that as, hey, list those couches online. And for some reason, I didn't do any research on how much couches sell for.
Ooh, I remember this.
So it was like a nice leather couch set of like 2 or 3 couches.
I don't want to exaggerate. But I think originally, they were old, but we at least paid like $3,000 for them. Like at least,
okay.
if not 5, because it was a full set. Yeah. Just for context.
I listed them on Craigslist for $200, and immediately someone bought them, or like someone's like, "Hey, I'm coming to buy them," and then I call my dad. I'm like, "Hey, like I forgot what." I was like, "Hey, these people are coming to buy the couches," and he's like, "What?" Like, yeah, like mom told me to list these couches or whatever, and then he's like, "For how much?" I'm like, $200, and he's like, "Roman, are you dumb?" But and then what ended up happening, they were on their way to buy the couches. Like if this was happening now, I would have called them and been like, "Hey, sorry guys, they're not for sale. Like there's been a mistake. Forget about it." But I was too concerned about they'll think I'm like a terrible person. Like
customer service.
Yeah. So I just let them buy the couches for $200, and I gave the $200 to my mom. And mom's like, the worst part, they weren't even mad. They were disappointed. They were like, "Roman, why?" And I cried for like a day.
You cried.
I was in tears. I was like, dude, I messed up so bad. Like, I thought it was the worst thing that's ever happened.
I mean, it wasn't good, but...
And the next day, in the morning, I woke up at like, I forget, I was awake really early for some reason. I was in the kitchen, and Dad came in the kitchen, and he sees like my eyes are red because I was crying. Because I'm like, I'm a failure. I'm ashamed. Like, brought shame onto this. I don't know. I was just like this weird. Like, I was tears. Like,
oh
tears.
My
tears.
Goodness.
And Dad like looks at me and he's like, hey, like, you know, we make mistakes. Like, we move on. It's okay. Like, everything's fine. And that was like a defining. That kind of like changed my perspective on a lot of things. You know, like, hey, like,
that's so crazy.
You made a mistake. Okay, like, yes, it was a terrible mistake. Now it's funny.
Oh yeah.
Now it's funny.
I mean,
at the time,
to me, it was funny immediately.
I know. But for me, it was not funny at the time. I was devastated and ashamed and like disappointed. But we moved on, and
well, I mean,
everything's fine.
We were couchless for a while there. Like, say, we had a TV. Like, well, you know, where we had the couches, it wasn't just like a random place in the house. We had a TV there. Yeah. So like I think we were sitting on like lawn chairs for a while, or like folding chairs.
No, it was not a good decision at all.
It was not. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that as a risk, but that's interesting.
It wasn't.
That's funny that you bring that up.
Stupid.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, risk. Hey, you took a risk. You learned. Try to use your entrepreneurial talents there. But yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. I can tell it's funny by the way that you're, you know, deadpan face.
Yeah. But yeah, interesting. I guess the next question I had for you, is this introductory episode. Still talking about risk, but what I talked about for like the past like 4 or 5 episodes, I think, is the idea of risk and faith correlating. So what would you agree, or what are your thoughts on that? Like faith as in like living a life of faith. I think I started out talking about probably Abraham.
Yeah.
And I talked about how, you know, his whole journey of how like God comes to him, tells him, you know, I'm taking you to this land, I'm gonna make a nation out of you, blah blah blah, people, the whole earth's gonna be blessed through you. I talked about how that is a risk, you know, because it's like it's a step of faith, but you know, there was no guarantee. Right? I mean, that's how faith works, right? There's no guarantee. It's just a step of faith risk. Just thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's in some ways it's kind of one and the same. The first thing I think of when I think of like risk in terms of faith is that story that Pastor Peter, I forgot who it was. There was that one guy in Ukraine. He remember, like, there was that story. He went to McDonald's. He had no money, and like for his kid's birthday, he brought his whole family there. And he's like, he prayed before, and he was like, I don't have any money. Oh, because like it was his kid's birthday, and he told his kid that he was gonna take him to like McDonald's for his birthday, and so he invites all of the kids' all of his kids' friends and everybody, and like, we're going to McDonald's. Everyone orders all this food, and at the time when the food is being ordered, he did not have any money to pay for the food. Do you remember this?
I think so.
But he's like, I have faith, like this food will be paid for, like God will take care of it. And when it comes time to pay, he's like, oh, you know, like, oh. And then someone walks up to him and says like, whatever, I don't remember his name right now, but it was like, Pastor whatever, this is for you. And the amount of money that they gave him was the exact amount of money that he needed to pay for that meal.
Dang.
Which is crazy. Like, you know, like he took a real leap of faith. Like,
that would have been pretty awkward.
Yeah, it would have been very awkward if, you know, if you couldn't pay for that, you know. So like, I hit the camera again. I'm sorry. The camera, it's right there where my foot wants to go. Apologize. But like, that's the first thing I think of. I don't know why. That's just the first thing that comes to mind. But obviously everyone has a different risk tolerance. I would never be able to do that. I feel like, or maybe I'm just not, like my faith is not at a high enough level to just go in a restaurant with $0 to my name and order a bunch of food. That's not me. I don't know, but it's the same thing with risk. Like everyone has a different tolerance, or not a different tolerance, but a different.
Yeah, when it comes to faith, I think tolerance probably isn't the right word, but yeah, different level. I kind of relate to that. I think, like, not that I mean, I know we're supposed to have faith in like every area, and there's some people. I mean, I remember there's stories where the guy was like, he's like, I have faith like that God will give me like the best deal on this mattress, and like. Mm-hmm. He prays and walks in and like, which is good. I think that's like so. Well, I think when Jesus talks about childlike faith, that's kind of referring to that. But I would agree, like, there's some things where it's just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you were put in that situation with no other options.
Yeah. No, I feel like okay, like if I get pulled over by a cop, I'm not gonna be like, God, like, please don't give me this ticket. Like, I was speeding, maybe I deserve a ticket. Like that's just kind of my general vibe, like like I'm not gonna be like, oh God, please no, like like I'm just like.
Well, you remember the story from it was a Hungry Gen internship of all, how he didn't have a license.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't have it. That was a crazy story.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I feel like if I'm doing something like that, maybe like I would pray. But if I'm driving, with a license and an insured vehicle.
His thing was, and I don't remember the full story. I'm going to butcher the details, but it's like I think how he mentioned or how he described it was like he lived a life in his past that like the first time he got pulled over, he kind of tried to like lie his way out of it or like kind of.
Yeah, he did that twice.
He did that twice. And then this time, he just tells the cop like
the truth
by faith, tipa. Like he's like, all right, just arrest me.
Yeah.
And so the cop ended up letting him go.
Yeah, I remember because he was saying something like, no, not in his past life. Like he was like a pastor. Okay. He didn't have a license, and he tried to lie because he's like, what else am I supposed to do, God? Like, And God's like, no, like you need to have faith and be honest and tell the truth. I mean, I believe in that a lot. Just being honest with people and telling the truth. I don't even like to massage the truth. I like to just be as honest as I can. Like if a cop pulls me over and he's like, "Were you speeding?" I'll be like, "Yes." Like whatever speed I was going, that's the speed I'll tell you that I was going. Like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, like
my dog died."
Yeah, my dog died, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm speeding to church, sir." Like, no, like,
nah. That's. I mean, that
doesn't matter why I was speeding. I was speeding.
I feel like that's also the better way to go about it. Just being honest. Yeah. And yeah. And since you graduated, I wanted to ask one last thing. Do you see a school as a risk?
Going to school?
Yeah.
Yes. It is a risk for sure because, I mean, at least in our circle of friends, there's a lot of people when you're going to school, you're actively foregoing 4 years of first of all, if you're full-time enrolled in school, technically you can work a full-time job, and I did that this semester. Mm-hmm. And this semester I had 11 credit hours. I was about a little bit almost full-time, and it was still very difficult for me to work a full 8 hours every day, go to classes. That was tough, right? So realistically, you can't work during those 4 years to your full ability. You're risking a long period of time where you're not able to work or do other things, and it kind of limits you in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's definitely, I would definitely say it's a risk.
You're missing out on opportunities.
Yes, because I mean, we know a lot of people that instead of going to college, they graduate high school and they're working construction, they're doing this and that, they're making a whole bunch of money doing whatever it is, driving trucks or
yeah, they're making money right away.
They're making money right away. You feel kind of dumb sometimes because you're like, dude, I'm so I definitely say it's a risk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I had the same thing, kind of opportunities to move or try something new. But you're kind of locked into school, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Right now, I don't regret it at all.
I don't
like being done.
Yeah.
I talked about that like one of the episodes, just like my review, I guess, on school. Is it gonna make me a billionaire? I mean, probably not, but
I think people correlate things too much. Everyone's like, "Oh, Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college." Like, did Mark Zuckerberg drop out of college and someone wrote him a check for $45 billion?
Yeah.
No, like, he just had a great idea. He happened to be in college at the time, so he was forced to drop out to pursue that idea. If you don't have an idea for the next Facebook, like, maybe stay in school. Like,
That's what I remember. I remember, like, especially like influencers, or like I always think of like a Gary V, who's like, chase your dreams, try stuff. Yeah. But it's like when I was at that point to decide, like, I had nothing I wanted to try. I had no dreams to chase. Like, sure, I could go work with dad and try to build a business, but like that wasn't my passion. You know what I mean?
You're not like, oh man, I really want to reload trucks.
Yeah, so like that's not.
Hey, are you forklift certified, Mark?
If OSHA asks, then yes.
That's a big deal. Mark.
Yeah.
Forklift certified.
Well, I've been forklift certified by someone who's forklift certified.
Wait, you weren't forklift certified at Home Depot?
No. That's like a whole thing, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You had to like take courses and like that was like so official. I mean, I'm sure you can get one just online or whatever, but like
I think you're forklift certified.
Well, thank you. Yeah, after my years of service, I think
we're both forklift certified.
I mean, I'm definitely more.
Remember when we were both rocking and rolling on both forklifts at one time?
Yeah, that feels pretty cool.
And then I flipped one.
You flipped a forklift?
No, a pallet.
Oh, I was about to say
pallet of the air filters. Remember? Because it was that big boy forklift that's like meant to like lift big boy things. And if you go down all the way, if you put the forks down all the way, the ends kind of pick up. And it just kind of like, it kind of tail kicked the pallet, and the pallet just...
We had a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, when Dad was in here, and we,
That was risk. It was risky.
No, that was pain. That was not risk. That was just pure, I remember I went there on a Saturday at 10 a.m. To work. Yeah. And I got home at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And I woke up at like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. in like this state of like panic.
No, you skipped church.
No. That was not the reason I was in the state of panic because I was afraid that I didn't unload a pallet from one of the trucks. Because remember we had that incident a couple weeks before. I don't want to go into all of it, but we had that incident.
Let's not talk about that.
And I was petrified. Like I was like, dude, if I messed up, like I gotta, leave this family, find a new one. So I drove all the way from our house to Tucker to count the pallets because I couldn't see them all on the video camera, on the security cameras. I'm like, dude, there's no way. I'm like, dude, there has to be 11 or whatever the number was. I'm like, I can't see them. And I'm like, no. And I left the house, again, drove an hour in one direction.
I've done that though too.
I counted them and I sat on the ground. I was like,
There was one Sunday. It was like during church. That's all I could think about. I was like, I messed up,
dude.
I did not bring the right amount, bro. And then after church, I booked it all the way to work,
just to check.
And it turns out it was fine. Like
it was fine for me. And then I was like, dude, and then I went to Waffle House, ate, and then went back home. Oh no, I think I bought these headphones that day.
That's the most random thing.
I don't know.
But
I went to Best Buy. I'm like, I need to spend some money.
That's so funny. Yeah. That's so funny. Well, this has been fun. Let me see.
We don't have anything else?
Before 38 minutes, dude. We got a good little thing. I guess if you have any other topics, maybe recent events.
Recent events.
Yeah. Anything you want to mention?
I think it was yesterday or today. Prigozhin said that they took Bakhmut.
Yes.
That happened.
I saw that as well. But I've been looking at the deep state map and it says otherwise. But
no, I mean they took 98% of the actual city of Bakhmut.
Okay.
And I feel like I have a pretty like level-headed opinion on this. I'm not like super like, oh no, like, you know, I mean, obviously I'm for Ukraine,
Okay, that's
100%, but I'm not. There's a lot of people that everything that he says must be false or
Talking about
whatever.
Prigozhin?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the big kind of, I guess, point of disagreement between both sides is Russia calls it Bakhmut Operation Meat Grinder. So their
Officially?
take, oh yeah, that's like their code name for Bakhmut.
Okay.
So
That's very inspirational to your soldiers.
no, they're saying that Bakhmut destroyed the capability of a lot of Ukrainian brigades and units.
Okay.
Right? Ukraine's saying the exact opposite. Right? So I think, I mean, and like I try to look on Twitter, like there's, you know, a lot of like Russian accounts, and they're like, oh, like this brigade, this brigade, this brigade. But it's just like a list of names of like, you know, Ukrainian units and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like how many dead though? Like how many are you claiming are dead? And they claim like 200,000 KIA or somewhere around there. I'm like, okay, like.
I thought that was the number for the Russians. That's what I've been hearing.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying, I think 100,000 or 200,000 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in Bakhmut. That's what they're saying. The Russian side. The Ukrainian side is saying that 100,000 Russian troops were killed or wounded in Bakhmut. Right? So those are kind of like, you know, those two obviously go against each other. Right. So, and neither side is really gonna. Ukraine's not going to release their casualty numbers. I don't think it was 200,000. I mean, I definitely think there was a number of casualties in Bakhmut, but, you know, I definitely think Russia took more casualties. And then, like, some people are saying that it's not strategically important for Russia to take, or it is strategic. There's, like, just a whole bunch of stuff on that. Yeah, they took 98% of Bakhmut. Obviously, that's not good for us. But they're saying it in a way that, like, oh, we took it. Ukrainians weren't routed, right? They weren't routed, which means they weren't running away in panic, right? It was like an orderly, like, okay, they took one city block, and then, like, one city block. They're still fighting wherever that line ends now, right? So even though they took maybe the city limits of Bakhmut, wherever that front line is, it's not like the Ukrainians went all the way back to Slaviansk. Like they didn't, you know, or Chasiv Yar. They didn't go back to Chasiv Yar. They're still right there on that line. Like they're still fighting.
That's one thing I want to end up doing is being able to put up the map so we can.
Oh, the deep state map. Yeah, I mean, like Chasiv Yar is the next city on the Bakhmut highway to Slaviansk, Kramatorsk area. So like, the Ukrainians didn't retreat there. They're still literally on the line. Wherever the Russian claim control is, like that's where they are, and obviously there's they've regained some territory around the northern and southern parts of Bakhmut, where the, you know, like the pincers were in the, you know, last few weeks.
So what would you say is what's next, kind of?
I mean, at least like in this war, like,
well, like in regards to Bakhmut, especially.
In regards to Bakhmut, who knows? You know, like yeah, okay, like I'm willing to admit, yeah, sure, they took the city limits of Bakhmut, okay. War changes every day. If they really did put 100,000 troops down, like they had 100,000 casualties to take Bakhmut, and their goal, let's pretend their goal is to just take the Donetsk Oblast, and it took them 9 months. You have at least 5 or 6 more cities the size of Bakhmut to take before you get to the administrative borders of Donetsk. So, okay, like. Good luck.
So it's like another, like a multi-year.
Yeah, that's like another 5 years to what? And you kill another what? Okay, let's just say it's not 100,000. It's 40,000 troops that they put down in Bakhmut. Okay, so you're going to kill another 200,000 of your soldiers to take 5 more cities, and you're going to take 4 more years to do it. Yeah. And you're going to run all your, you know, artillery out. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's progress. You know, they still have a long way to go if they think they're gonna, you know, and yeah, Slaviansk is like a big military base. They're not gonna give up. Yeah, if they think Bakhmut took 9 months, if they even get close to Slaviansk, and if they do try to take Slaviansk, that's gonna take many years.
Yeah. I know for us, it's kind of.
GG's.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of friends and now family too in that city. So it's kind of eerie seeing Bakhmut and then looking down the road and Slaviansk is right
Yeah, it's
there.
only like 40 kilometers away.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, I don't know if you went with us when we were in Ukraine to
I did.
Avdiivka.
I think so.
Yeah, I think me and Thomas and you went. Avdiivka's it's not far. It's 45 minutes, an hour away.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, Avdiivka, there are some pincers like moving around Avdiivka, but the line
It's not moving.
hasn't moved since 2014. So good luck taking Avdiivka.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you, pals.
That's good. Well, that's good. I am excited actually to talk more about Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I think as we move on, we'll have more like specific stories we can reference and stuff like that. And I'm excited to hear more about your perspective on it, because you don't ever talk to me. So hopefully this, at least you can talk to me through this. But,
we're getting F-16s. Sorry, just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna talk about that, but I don't want to take too much time, especially with the recording.
Yeah, I can talk for another 3 hours more.
Yeah, well, hey, that'll be our next podcast, 3 hours on Ukraine and F-16s.
Let's do it.
But, yeah, I mean, I think this was fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up here. We're going to make improvements. I am not the most tech savvy, so it's been just hard just on the back end of things. So once we get that figured out, we're going to make more improvements to production and whatnot. And my goal is, before we start promoting, to be able to do clips and whatnot.
Don't hit your head against.
I think
hand against
that probably makes a difference there. And but yeah, man. So this is the first episode with the co-host. For me, this is much better than just talking into a camera and a microphone for 30 minutes.
More fun.
This is a lot more fun. This is what I was imagining when I was thinking about doing the podcast. So yeah, I do appreciate it. I hope we can keep it rocking, keep it rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
It's been fun.
That's it for this week. And of course, every Monday, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment. 4 subscribers. Let's make that at least 5. At least 5. And yeah.
Oh, I don't think I subscribed.
No, you are subscribed.
I am?
You are subscribed, yeah. Well, okay, that's it. Y'all have a blessed week. Go take some risks, live your life, and we'll see you next Monday.